So welcome to the fourth edition of Capstone 2. I can see that. I suggest everybody gets one of those. That's a cheat sheet about how to work with Git. That's kind of useful. If you're going to put any sort of documentation in your GitHub repository, it uses the easiest way is to use Markdown, right? And the green little booklet there has examples of how to use Markdown. It's not as flexible as HTML, or you can't get it as pretty as Word or Google Docs, but it's better than nothing, right? Let's see if I can fire up something maybe. I think my laptop is on its last legs. The hard disk was ticking this morning, and then so I rebooted it, but it stopped ticking now. So I don't know whether that means it's about to explode or what it means.
It usually means it's meeting the expiration date.
Sorry?
It's meeting the expiration date.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, it's my wife's old laptop, so yes. So that's a bit hard to read. But for 466, I've got a GitHub repository, and this piece here gets rendered out of the readme.md file, right? So you can see, you can include images, links. You can do tables. I don't think I've got a table in this one, but it's a pretty decent. And then just to see what it looks like, you can edit it. And a single hash gives you the top level header, and then there's some other ways to do it. Right, 2 hashes gives you a slightly smaller header, that sort of stuff. So it's kind of cool. And I just got to remember how to cancel that. There it is there. Okay, so that was all I wanted to say. The other thing is this is the way a lot of open source projects work. It's the amber or the maroon one, and it's just got a when you're working with other people with Git, you don't want to clobber each other's changes, right? So usually you have a main branch, and then when you want to add something, you create a new branch, you make your changes, and then oftentimes you can't commit or push back to the main branch, only the owner can. And so what you do is you create a pull request which says to the owner, hey, these are my changes, or there are some changes, please merge them onto the main branch. And then usually the owner or somebody will review your changes and pull them onto the main branch. And that's a merge and deploy, which is the last thing. And that's the way a lot of software works. Okay, that's Git. I'm not going to talk too much about Git, except if a particular team has problems with it. If you have problems, or should I say when you have problems, don't panic. Just get in touch with me, and I'll see what I can do about fixing it. usually pretty easy to fix. It's just a matter of, yeah, it's not a bad idea. So there we are, and I think I told you the wrong date for the submission of the draft in the peer reviews, because I only saw 2 submissions. I think I told you the 16th and it was actually the 15th. That was probably my problem with setting up. So there should be at least 2 to review. So have a look, and I might have a look at somebody over their shoulder in Blackboard to see what happens with that. So that's where we are. I'm not going to talk too much more about deliverables. I talked about the product. That's just there for remind. The Git stuff I've talked about. So one thing I thought would be good is I teach or used to teach a course at Fairfield University called Software Project Management. And the textbook is a textbook by Wysocki, and this slide is straight out of that textbook. And I talked about the SPI, the Schedule Performance Index, and the Cost Performance Index. And I thought I'd just go into a little bit of detail as to how that works. Right? So there's 3 things you need. You need the planned value, which, if you remember, and I'm going to open up the, I don't know if that's the right one, but I'm going to open up the security drone. Right? And if you remember, just for simplicity, what I've done is I've said that the value of each task in your plan is the number of days times 8 hours, because you usually only have 8 hours in a day for work, times, I think I used $20 in it, right? That's for most of them. Some of them, if it's a deliverable, right? There's a deliverable here. I just use a fixed cost of $100. And some of them, I also said there's no cost, like the summer vacation. It's just not part of the plan, it's just a chunk of time. So this column here is the cost, and it should be just the 8 hours times 1 day times 20. So this number here is called the cost, but in this context, that's the planned value, PV. And let's go back to there. Go back to there. And each task in your plan has a value, right? Either it's time related or it's deliverable related, a fixed cost. When you complete tasks, you earn their planned value, and that becomes the earned value. That's what EV is, right? So for a particular task, if it's 100% done, the EV and the PV should be exactly the same. What changes is What changes is if you're ahead of schedule, then you have earned more value at that particular date than the planned value for that particular date. Right? So if you've got more earned value, then your SPI is bigger than 1, which is a good thing. If you're behind schedule, you haven't earned as much value as you planned to. So the EV total is less than the PV, so the number's less than 1. The other one to look at is the cost performance index. And again, we've got the earned value in the numerator. Now in the denominator, we've got the actual cost. And where this changes from the planned value is if the task was completed early, then the time taken is less, so the actual cost is less than the planned cost. If you had to spend more time on the task than you planned, then the actual cost is going to be bigger. Right? So again, you can see if the actual cost is bigger than the earned value, what you planned for it to have cost, then the CPI is going to be less than 1. If, on the other hand, the actual cost is lower than what you expected the value to be, then it's going to be bigger than 1. And that's all the same there. So what I've done for each team is I've got your plans, or a version that I put together, your plans, and I've calculated the SPI and CPI. Now the CPIs for all of them, for all teams, are 1. Okay, and that's because I haven't really changed any of the tasks, updated them by saying that you took a shorter amount of time or a longer amount of time. So the CPIs are exactly 1, because the actual cost is exactly the same as the planned value, or the planned cost. So let's just have a look at the parking automation one. And that's the wrong one, so let's open up parking automation. Okay, so there it is. Now, I haven't updated this at all since last time. Right, so, and I've just put in the SPI and CPI columns, so 0.46 on the schedule performance index. So again, I haven't updated it correctly. That's one of the things I want to get from you shortly, is where are you on your plan, right? And the home security drone SPI is 0.44. And then finally, smart fridge is 0.48. And I'll open that one as well. And again, you should be able to see that I've got a 0.48 there. So what I'm going to do in the first part of each class session is go through those. I will report basically what happened, what the state of each project was last night, the Thursday night. And during this session, I'll update the project plans with what you tell me is done. And I'm happy to take emails saying, oh, we've done this or we've done that. I'm happy to share back the plans that I'm using. I'm happy to add tasks. Not so happy to subtract tasks. That's probably not the right thing to do. Okay. Any questions? So that's where we are with that. So let's go back to parking automation, and I will see if I can find the right one. So parking automation, we had right, so I haven't done anything much with stuff for this semester. So we've got prepare design resources, create design document, create design presentation, and on this type of practice presentation. So can the parking automation team let me know how any and all of those are going?
Yeah, so design resources is done. Create the design document. We finished the design document draft.
Okay.
And
so I'll say 50% maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, because we still have to do the final.
Yeah, that's okay.
The design presentation I would put as 25%.
Okay.
And then we haven't gotten to practice in the presentation.
Just continue. Okay. So let's just see what that updates. Right, so that updates your SPI to 0.88. Now one thing I didn't say, I probably should have, is let's just go back to this one, right? You've got the EJIT, as they say in Ireland, in front of the graph, right? And that's pretty accurate, because what people do is they plot either the SPI or the CPI or both as a function of time, right? And if your end time is here, right, they plot the SPI and CPI, 0.44, 0.48, 0.88, whatever it happens to be. And what they do is they put a funnel. They put a funnel on it, like that. And as you go along, right, maybe you were down here, and now we're up here, and you plot where the project is. And what happens is you use those red lines as control limits and as thresholds, right? And if your SPI or CPI goes outside of those thresholds, then action has to take place, right? Has to. Here we're within the control limits, but then all of a sudden, because we're getting close to the end of the project and we haven't pulled in whichever one applies, SPI, that's telling me there's a danger that we're not going to hit that deadline. So that means some action has to take place. On the upside, if I had another project that was going like this, those last two plots there tell me either I was really bad at planning the project, so that I really, overcompensated with the amount of work I thought was needed, or things are going really well, and for whatever reason, if there's other projects in the portfolio that aren't going as well, that's telling me I can reassign people. Right? Maybe not many, but it's telling me if I'm happy with the due date being whatever it was for being whatever the plan told me it was going to be, the pink project is a place where I can look for help for the other projects. Okay. Or it's telling me I can let the people on that project go on vacation. Right? I'd be reticent to think about approving vacation on this project, given how close it is to the end and how out of control it seems to be. Okay. So let's go on. That was parking automation. Thank you. Let me grab home security drone. There it is, that one. So again, I haven't updated this since for this semester, so that's why the number wasn't particularly good. So the home security drone, did we decide what general template meant, and have you done the detailed design research, and how is the first draft coming along?
So we actually have an updated Microsoft plan. I sent you an email just now actually.
Okay.
But aside from that, we're up to date. We're actually ahead of schedule because we already completed the first draft.
Okay.
And,
So
the
that's
second draft, we have a complete detailed design document.
excellent.
So the next step is to just review it and then finalize everything else.
Okay. So there's that. Okay. And that means you're exactly up to date. Very good. And again, your SPI is now really much closer to where you would expect, right? 0.95. Okay, so that's good. And I'll try and update what you just sent me. If you can just attach it in the today's status report,
Okay.
in Blackboard just so that it's there. Again, whenever there's some sort of a documentation or document, the first draft, I would suggest you attach a copy to your weekly status reports so that it's all there in the journal. Right? You might put it elsewhere, it might be a Google Doc or something like that, but I recommend as an archive outputting your design docs and your presentation as a PDF and attach it to your weekly status reports. So there's a snapshot of where you were as you go. Okay. Anything else from that it, Michael? No?
No, we're good.
Okay. All right. And the smart fridge update. Any? Let me just go back here and pull that up. And same deal, I haven't updated it particularly, so we've got the parts list maybe. Let's pull the percentage done over so I can see it a bit better. Right, so research app, how is that going?
Yeah, so we started doing some research on Swift for creating an app on a MacBook to push to iOS. We posted a link in our GitHub repository. We came across a couple different YouTube videos on like getting started on it. Those are also on GitHub. And then something called the IFTT.
Oh yeah, if this then that.
Yep, we came across that and we think we're going to be able to use that in our project somehow. So those links are on GitHub. Our research for our app is, I'd say it's around 100% done.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I use. I was intrigued by if this then that a while ago, and I haven't used it for much except I've got it connected up to my Twitter account. So whenever anybody follows me, it sends a tweet at them saying thank you for following, which is kind of cute. Okay, so do you think that that research piece is done for now? Yeah. Now, what will probably happen is you might have to do more research, but that's a new task. Okay, so we'll add that if necessary later on. Okay. Bring in pre-owned parts, and again, I should have split those up into two separate tasks. Begin detailed design discussion. I assume you've started that.
So we submitted our draft for our detailed design document, so wherever that task goes up,
Okay.
we're 100% on that. We're just ready for review with each other. As far as the pre-owned parts go, I still haven't brought my mini fridge in because they and I'm not using it. We don't have all of the parts yet, so bringing it here would be kind of redundant. Once the parts start coming in, we're gonna bring the fridge in and I'll figure out a way to store it here.
Yeah, we'll have to sort that. And again, your SPI is now coming up to 0.98, which is so normally the control bounds. I drew an exponential control bound on the SPI and CPI. Oftentimes it's just flat, and it's usually plus or minus 0.1 or plus or minus 0.05 is the sort of number. So if you're between 0.9 and 1.1, that's usually pretty good. Okay. So let's just see, I think that was all I had. I'll get you to give proper status reports. Before we go there though, I had some people ask about servo motors. I have some little tiny ones. So if anybody is interested in servo motors, I've got 2. And the other thing I've found is that might be useful are these little prototyping boards. Right? So if you're putting together some extra circuitry over and above what you have already, they're useful to solder stuff on.
Do you know where we are on the order of the
So I have ordered them. I need to check. I don't know whether I've forgotten. One team didn't get an Excel spreadsheet, so I haven't put that in for that, any parts in for that team. But the 2 that did send me attached the Excel spreadsheet to their status reports, I did submit that. That was put in on Monday because I think I mentioned there was the new department secretary is only just started. She's actually going up to introduce myself to her after this session, so I haven't actually met her previously. So I haven't heard that they've come in yet. That's partly why I want to introduce myself to her, so that when they do come in, she can let me know quickly. That's about it.
Any questions?
Yeah, the 3 questions. So let's go back to. I'll give you a chance. I was being a bit detailed before, so let's go back to parking automation. You want to give me your verbal or your oral version of the 3 answers to the 3 questions?
Sure. So what we've done within the past week was upload the detailed design draft document. I have a skeleton of the presentation, and I've just been adding stuff as I did the document. I've been adding it into the presentation. And while we've been doing that, we've also been working on the actual schematics and stuff.
Okay. Sounds good.
Making that real.
And you just need parts, I assume.
Right, yeah, parts. I'm going to finish the presentation, or we will. I'm going to finish the skeleton of it, and then we'll fill it in for next week. And there's nothing holding us back right now other than the parts.
Right, so I'm aiming for the 3 teams to do their presentations on October 1st. So what's that? 2 weeks' time? 2 weeks from today?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not sure what the best way to do that is. We can do it live. I'm happy for you to do it live here. My only, it's not really a problem, is I would like to have it recorded, so I'll have to figure out how I could do that. I could probably do it using Teams on that machine. But I wonder whether it's worthwhile thinking, and I'm not sure, whether it's worthwhile thinking about having a canned video presentation and then have the team available for comment or for questions live at the end. Think about it. I'm happy either way. Either you do the presentation live, and then we'll have to get you connected here. And yeah, I'll record it using Microsoft Teams. Okay. Next on the list, what have we got to? Thank you, Carl. Home security drone. we have your answers to the 3 questions.
So what we did, we were able to create the detailed design draft for the detailed design document. We did some research on the sensors, and what we're going to do, we're still going to do some more research on the flight control. And as to what it's costing us,
Nothing? Okay. Except, well, parts. So I'll expedite that. If parts come in before next Friday, what I'll do is I'll aim to bring them in and meet somebody from each of the teams on campus if you're around. I can meet somewhere else as well, but I'd rather speed up that parts delivery if I can, and not have to have it happen on a Friday. Okay, smart fridge.
So what we did last week was finish our apple search, finish the detailed design draft. This week we'll have to do reviews for them, start the presentation outline, probably. Maybe get some code in this way, look better. And we're stopping up parts, and then whatever the other things, one other thing.
Okay, thank you. So I don't have anything else. Get together in your teams, get into Blackboard and update your status report. Attach your draft documents, either your detailed design or your presentation, or both. Yeah.
When we leave feedback for each of the drafts, is it an individual thing, or is it?
It should be an individual thing. That's one thing I want to check if I can look over somebody's shoulder, because I haven't ever seen what it looks like from the student side. So I believe 2 groups submitted stuff into the peer review. At least I think that's true. And I just want to see whether everybody gets 2 to review or what happens. Okay? So it should be available for review now, and I think you just click through it's like a rubric, the same rubric that I'm going to use to mark the final one. Okay? Okay. Let me,
I was just gonna grab
I took typing classes in 3rd grade.
Everybody does.
I only took a couple when I went to school in South Carolina.
Do you want that silver mode?
So when we do our presentation, are we gonna I think when we start off is just get the voice out of my office. And yeah, and then I think we could do work in there whenever we want. After 4:30, then just in my room, we can do whatever. That makes more sense to me. All 3 of us gotta be there. And I think we're something for that. Until we get to that test. Yeah. Mike doesn't have time at this class. Yeah, at least I don't know what his work schedule is like for the rest.
So notify the phone section has been made, letting them know it's already been done. Only issue with that though, so we don't have a remote control. We're planning to control this room. They have a software for the play control, but I'm still doing research on this. Because allow us to transfer the software to the phone, so allow us
Professor, is there any updates also about the orders?
About the,
The orders? No updates?
No, let me check to see.
Because you said on Monday maybe you were gonna get some news. That's why I was thinking maybe just in time.
So Monday, don't.
Yeah.
I'll be here.
Oh, that,
Yeah.
coming Monday?
Before this class, like an hour or so.
Coming Monday,
Maybe through a couple of
Gotcha. Alright.
Normally I can handle things pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah, it's actually, it is actually the same day.
Yeah.
And
And then it has to.
I would have to actually,
Only way you know this document, so there's nothing you can do. One day on Amazon, so under this one, I'll tell you something. The rest of the product.
let's check what I do.
But I'm hoping that we
Finalize the draft.
open the first and the fourth to the end of October.
Yeah, we're not pretty much sure.
But hopefully it comes in sooner.
It's the same thing as well.
Then we can, although we're not doing this, I don't know, this is what I sent it into it.
It's not at all. It's looking at all kinds of. I got the
Yeah,
summer. I thought it was
all the way to send, send something.
Get offered today? I sat there, I saw it, I paid you a bunch of that.
So it's an hardware report?
It's only an hour long class. Yeah, I think it was. I showed them. 10 minutes less scheduled class that we went over.
You know how I actually go,
Oh, we got a text.
Not even programming, but we have to, there's something, so it functions.
You know that it's money. Wow.
And this is your thing, or some other thing? So,
Yeah, that's the one I got.
you want to reach it,
This picture, this picture,
It's not really much of really research. Everything mechanically, like hardware wise, putting stuff together is just solder wires. No, you just get the pinouts, you just get the base, you cut it out.
Yeah, we put ours.
Especially since we have the time.
a question about our document. What exactly were you looking for in the subsystem updates?
You should have a little bit more detail about what's going into each subsystem. Hopefully, by the time it actually gets finalised, you have some parts and some pictures of stuff that you're going to use, right? So that's the aim.
All right.
Okay, makes sense?
I was worried about that.
That one?
I did the plan design. Yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, I don't need to pull it up. I can see the video.
Professor, we good to go?
You are good to go if you've got nothing else to talk about. I don't have anything else to talk to you about. Just make sure you're done as much as you can together.
Yeah. We're just waiting to do subsystem part. The peer reviews. Yeah, the peer reviews.
Actually, could somebody call me and show me what the exactly looks like? Sorry.
The draft that we did last week was due for next week?
Yeah, he said he laughed, he said that on the 17th that was meant to be good. At least we got it going, huh? We got a week free.
It doesn't show anyone else's document on there. Okay, so it's like,
It's on the research.
set up another. Yeah. It's worked fine if it's all been
Yeah.
really good. But,
Sunday at 2.
Truthfully, it doesn't, of course, and you get the through.
very good. Like, there was one of them where we submitted the draft, and we're not able to view the draft from our accounts. Yeah, it's right here. That's who wants to do this. I'll have to get it done. I'll get it set up by tonight. You all set with this?
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
That was the evaluation.
So I have changed the instruction. I'm not giving class.
Okay.
I was wondering if I can get on the device.
Yeah, we can do that. Let me just finish what I'm doing here and tell myself.
Have a good day, Peter.
Yeah, see ya. I'll just grab one from the back.
And I'll upload it as for beforehand. Yep, use
Just to finish.
How many do you want? There's a whole bunch of them. 2? Can I take 2 of these boards and throw it in my office or whatever?
Yeah, if you want to take some, that's okay. Yeah, that takes a whole, but take a few.
I'm just gonna take 2.
Thank you. Sounds good. Let's just check that this has everything. Yeah, looks like it's got everything. So I'm going to give that to you, Greg, and I'm going to take a picture of you. Oh, I know you've got it. Otherwise, I will forget who's got it, right? So, is that all right?
Yep, that's fine.
Great. Thank you. If you have any problems, just get in contact with me via Discord or whatever.
Are you gonna post the video on Rumble?
Yeah, there should be, the video should be there already.
I'm talking about for tomorrow.
Oh, sorry, for tomorrow, I usually it's Sunday evening, I usually post out a summary and I post the link to the video there. If you go to my YouTube channel, you should be able to see it there too. Okay?
Thank you.
I'll be the two.
Okay. See you. And what was that? That was $8.29.
Professor, so I just remembered, I have a question regarding 466.
Yep, what about it?
So the knot bits, right?
Uh-huh.
So in the ZY books, they showed a surgery was performed the same way, but I had a different surgery. Better question. This one allows you to store a bit. This latch. Yeah. So I've been referencing a different source just to just further my understanding.
Yep.
And they made the same set input of the circuit this way, just using NAND gates.
Right.
So I guess my question is, does it matter? Like, so would this be called a latch as well, or is this specific circuit here called a latch? That's all latch.
So the concept of SR latch is independent of implementation, right? So you can implement the SR latch using NOR gates like that does. And I'm not sure quite correct if that is what they're saying is an SR latch. That is also true of the LK.
And I actually implemented this in multi-cell, and I was able to store it.
Oh, it was, okay. So in that case,
Which is weird, because I'm looking at that, I'm like, and as I was going to something, I was thinking about this, and I'm like that, but then I was trying to compare it to figure out, was there any differences? Well, it's like a simpler version.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, because I would expect the NAND version of this to also only have two tracks. I suspect this is a don't think it's SR latch. I think it's a slightly more complicated because it has those two dots on it. So those two. I would suspect the SR latch version of it is implemented using NAND just because of those two.
So this here was actually like the foundation of what they call this light. Is that what you're trying to explain?
Yeah.
Where there was just 8 of them.
Yep, exactly.
And then next to it was this separate piece called the enabler, which just had AND gates.
Yep.
And then when you combine the two, you get a register, and that's what they were doing. So
yeah, exactly.
You think that's why they did it this way?
Well, so the problem with this is it has, I believe, a bad state, right? The bad state is if you have both S and R, if you have both S and R being 1, the output is undetermined.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, okay, I do remember that.
And I think what these two are doing is they're forcing the S input of the R input to be the complement of each other, right? So that the only thing you can input to the SR latch piece is S equals 0 and R equals 1, or S equals 1 and R equals 0. You can't put in S equals 1 and R equals 0.
That makes sense.
Okay.
That makes sense, because doesn't the don't care act like that, or no? Is that separate from the don't cares?
Well, I think they offered right that S equals 1, R equals 1 as a don't care. It's not a don't care, it's I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
But they offered right as an X.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Okay, that makes more sense now. Alright, thank you.
You're welcome.
When I scroll down, it does say SR equals 1, 1 is problematic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we tend to use late flip-flops or T or D flip-flops as the kind of fewer problems.
But, I mean, that does make sense, though. Now, as far as, so I tried to implement the circuit that you made on multi-cylinder with the D flip-flops, but it seems, I think I was running into the same issue with the clock system. Like, I forgot to maybe input the clock signals for both the, the 2 pins.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that was the issue. Yeah. I was trying to implement it at home, but
Yeah, if you want to email me the multi-sync file, the MS14 file, I can have a look.
Alright, thank you. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Bye. Set up peer reviews. This person is supposed to be sending. Okay, let's see.